Cyber war. A cyber World War III would happen completely online. Instead of sending soldiers with guns, countries would send computer hackers to attack each other's digital systems. Imagine if someone could turn off all the electricity in your city just by typing on a computer. That's cyber warfare. In this scenario, hackers would target power plants, making lights go out across entire countries. They would attack banks, making people unable to get their money. Hospital computers would stop working, traffic lights would break, and your phone wouldn't connect to the internet. Countries might shut down each other's social media, news websites, and communication systems. People couldn't call their families or get important information. Factories would stop making products because their computer systems crashed. The scary part is that one person sitting in a room with a computer could cause problems for millions of people. But the good news is that cyber attacks don't directly kill people. Buildings don't explode, and cities don't get destroyed. Engineers can fix computer problems, even if it takes months or years. Economic war. An economic World War III means countries stop doing business with each other completely. Think about your favorite snacks, clothes, or electronics. Many come from different countries. In an economic war, all of that trade would stop. Big countries like America, China, and European nations would refuse to buy or sell anything to their enemies. Ships carrying goods would turn around at borders. Factories that make products for other countries would shut down because they have no customers. This creates a domino effect. When factories close, millions of people lose their jobs. When people don't have jobs, they can't buy food or pay rent. Prices for everything would go up because products become rare. Medicine from other countries would disappear from hospitals. Countries might freeze each other's bank accounts, making it impossible to send money anywhere. Airlines would stop flying between enemy countries. Even the internet might split into different parts for different countries. An economic war could make people very poor very quickly. Families might not have enough food. Students couldn't study abroad. Regional limited war. In this scenario, World War III starts in one part of the world but stays mostly there. Maybe it begins with a conflict between two neighboring countries and their allies slowly get involved. The fighting happens in a specific region like Eastern Europe, the Middle East, or East Asia. This type of war uses traditional weapons: tanks, fighter jets, missiles, and soldiers with rifles. Countries send their armies to fight in specific battlefields. Cities in the war zone get bombed and soldiers fight in the streets and countryside. The big difference is that most of the world stays peaceful. Countries far from the fighting continue normal life, but they pick sides. Some send weapons, money, or supplies to help their allies. Others accept refugees, people who run away from the fighting to find safety. This creates huge refugee camps with millions of people who lost their homes. These people need food, shelter, and medical care. The war zone becomes very dangerous, with destroyed bridges, schools, and hospitals. Even though the fighting stays in one region, it affects the whole world. Oil prices go up, making gas expensive everywhere. Food from the war zone stops reaching other countries. The global economy slows down because nobody wants to invest money during uncertain times. This type of war could last for years, with millions of soldiers and civilians dying. Unlike cyber or economic wars, people actually die from bullets and bombs every day. Global conventional war. Now we're talking about a real World War III. Fighting happens on multiple continents at the same time. This would be like World War I and World War II, but with much more advanced weapons. Every major country gets involved, and the fighting spreads across Europe, Asia, America, Africa, and the oceans. Modern armies are incredibly powerful compared to old wars. Today's tanks can hit targets 5 kilometers away with perfect accuracy. Fighter jets can fly faster than sound and destroy multiple targets in one mission. Ships can launch missiles that travel hundreds of kilometers. Satellites in space help soldiers see enemies even in the dark. The war would have multiple fronts. Naval battles would happen in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans with massive aircraft carriers and submarines. Land battles would destroy major cities as armies fight for control. Air forces would bomb enemy factories, bridges, and military bases. Millions of soldiers from dozens of countries would fight simultaneously. Unlike regional wars, nowhere would be completely safe. Even countries not directly fighting would face bombing raids on their factories and ports. The destruction would be enormous. Major cities like London, Tokyo, New York, or Moscow could be heavily damaged or destroyed. Entire countries might be occupied by enemy armies. Transportation systems, roads, railways, airports would be primary targets. This war could kill tens of millions of people, soldiers and civilians combined. It would take decades to rebuild destroyed cities and infrastructure. The economic cost would bankrupt even rich countries. The physical destruction would be visible for generations. Limited nuclear exchange. This scenario is where World War III becomes truly terrifying. Countries start using nuclear weapons, but only a few of them. Maybe 10 to 50 nuclear bombs get used instead of thousands. Even this limited nuclear war would be catastrophic. A single modern nuclear bomb is 20 times more powerful than the bombs that destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. When one explodes, it creates a fireball hotter than the sun that instantly vaporizes everything within 2 kilometers. The explosion creates a mushroom cloud that rises 12 kilometers into the sky. The immediate blast kills hundreds of thousands of people in seconds. But that's just the beginning. The explosion creates a radioactive fallout, invisible poison that spreads with the wind for hundreds of kilometers. This radiation causes cancer, birth defects, and death for decades afterward. Even worse, the explosions send millions of tons of dust and smoke into the atmosphere. This blocks sunlight and causes a nuclear winter. Global temperatures drop, crops fail worldwide, and people starve even in countries far from the explosions. Just 50 nuclear weapons could kill 10 to 50 million people directly, but the global effects, failed crops, radiation, destroyed infrastructure, could kill hundreds of millions more over the following years. Entire regions become uninhabitable for 30 to 50 years. Countries that didn't even fight in the war would face famine because global agriculture collapses. The world economy would completely crash. Modern civilization might not recover for generations. Full nuclear war. This is the nightmare scenario. Full-scale nuclear war, where countries use thousands of nuclear weapons. The United States has about 6,000 nuclear weapons. Russia has about 6,000, and other countries have hundreds more. If all these weapons were used, human civilization would end. The war might start with one country launching just a few nuclear missiles. The targeted country sees these missiles coming and launches their own nuclear weapons in response. Within 30 minutes, both countries have destroyed each other's major cities. But the war doesn't stop there. Allied countries start launching their nuclear weapons to help their friends. Enemy countries respond with even more nuclear attacks. Within a few hours, nuclear missiles are flying between dozens of countries. Major cities around the world, New York, Moscow, London, Beijing, Tokyo, Paris, all get hit by multiple nuclear weapons. Each major city targeted would be hit by several nuclear weapons to ensure complete destruction. New York might be hit by 10 to 20 nuclear bombs, completely erasing it from existence. The same happens to hundreds of cities worldwide. The immediate death toll would be 200 to 500 million people in the first day. Entire countries would be uninhabitable. The nuclear fallout would spread across continents, poisoning the air, water, and soil. Within 2 to 3 years, most of the 8 billion people on Earth would die from starvation, radiation poisoning, or disease. Human civilization, as we know it, would end. The few survivors would live in a world similar to the Stone Age, struggling to find food and clean water while avoiding radiation. Complete extinction war. The final scenario happens when nuclear war combines with other weapons of mass destruction, biological weapons, chemical weapons, and potentially artificial intelligence weapons. In addition to nuclear weapons, countries might release engineered diseases designed to kill as many people as possible. These biological weapons could spread around the world, like a pandemic, but much deadlier than COVID-19. Chemical weapons would poison the air and water in ways that last for decades. If artificial intelligence controls some of these weapons, the destruction could continue even after human leaders are dead. AI systems programmed to win at all costs might keep launching weapons automatically, not understanding that they're destroying their own creators. The combination of nuclear winter, global radiation, deadly diseases, poisoned environment, and potentially rogue AI systems would make Earth completely uninhabitable, not just for humans, but for most life forms. This scenario represents the complete end of human history. Everything we've ever built, learned, or created would disappear forever. Future alien visitors would find a dead planet with no trace that intelligent life ever existed here.